As Lag Baomer comes around the corner, and you see children around the country are scrounging for wood to make their bonfires, I again wondered what is the meaning of Lag Baomer and how can we make it more meaningful to us, particularly in our avodah and our tefillah. I decided to explore the Medrash that says that the reason why we celebrate Lag Baomer and it's a Yom Tov is because it commemorates the day that the man first fell in the desert. As Bnei Yisrael left Mitzrayim and they complained they didn't have food, Hashem showered man from the heavens. And the first day that it fell, according to this Medrash, was on Lag Baomer. But that is very curious. What is the connection between the fire, of Shimon Bar Yochai, and all the other things that we normally associate with Lag Baomer? What does that have to do with the man? And hence, I would like to share that thought with you today. Let's start with the 9th bracha of Shmoneh Esrei, the bracha Bevorech Hashonim. This bracha supposedly talks about our parnos as we ask Hashem to be able to have our sustenance. However, very curiously, it doesn't mention the word parnosa once. It asks that we should have rain. It asks that the world should be successful, or perhaps the changing of the seasons should be well. But it doesn't ask for our parnosa. Why not? Particularly as you compare to the other brachas of Shmoneh Esrei, they all seem to be much more specific. Boinei Yushalayim, we ask Hashem to build Yushalayim. Hamach Shechina also to bring back the Shechina. Rifreinu, that we ask to be healed. Go'aleinu, we ask Hashem to redeem us and help us through our troubles. But when it comes to parnosa, for some reason, we are global. We ask for the world's sustenance, for water, and for the land to produce. Why is that? I thought the answer perhaps might lay in the difference between a want and a need. What we need is we need to have sustenance. We need to have food. We need to have clothing and shelter. We would like that to come through our parnosa. We would like to be in control of how that happens. But as we all know, oftentimes that's not the way. Particularly people in business, where they will try one venture and it won't be successful, then out of the blue, something else will happen and that will bring in a lot of money. But indeed, all of us have tried to do our parnosa and we would like that to be successful. But that's not the way it always is. So I believe when we talk about Shmoneh Esrei and we are asking for our needs, we ask for food, for sustenance in the world, and therefore we will benefit. But the want of how it should be, and that it should be through our specific parnosa, is not something that focuses on Shmoneh Esrei. Of course, there are other places that we do ask for that, and we're allowed to be specific, and should be specific, but not in the bracha of Mevorech Hashonim. It reminds me of a story that I once heard. I believe it was the Talmud of the Chassam Sofer. And he was a Baki Otzum, and he was a Talmud Chacham Nifla, and a Bal Midas Tovus. But he was very happy staying in the Beis Medrash and learning and being able to study. A nearby city needed a Rav, and they heard of him, and they asked him to come and be the Rav of the city, and he really was not interested. But after multiple requests, they finally went to his Rebbe, and they convinced the Rebbe to be able to ask the Talmud to come and join. And after some convincing, he agreed to go, and he went very graciously and happily. After a short time of fulfilling his duties as Rav, a person came into him and shared a story of woe, of poverty, of tremendous challenge. And this new Rav said to himself, okay, if I'm the Rav, then therefore I need to have all of those powers that come with it, which includes that a tzaddik is goyzer and Hashem will be mekayim. So he told this man, he said, listen, take a portion of money and go buy the lottery on such and such a date, and Hashem will make it that you will win that lottery. The man went off very happily, and he indeed bought the lottery ticket, but unfortunately, he did not win. And he came back to this new Rav, and he said, it didn't happen, what's going on? And this new Rav was very troubled. This is what's supposed to be. How am I supposed to do my job if Hashem's not going to follow through on what he's supposed to do? So he went to his Rebbe and he said, Rebbe, you asked me to be a Rav of the city. You asked me to be able to fulfill the duties. Included in that needs to be that a tzaddik is goyzer Hashem is mekayim. There was a person who was struggling tremendously with poverty, and he had such a sad story. I told him what to do and it didn't work. So the Rebbe answered him, he said, my dear Talmud, it doesn't work that way, particularly not with parnosa. We don't get to tell Hashem how to give somebody parnosa. The bracha you can give somebody is that he should be able to have parnosa. He should be successful, perhaps even to be wealthy. But how that happens, we don't tell Hashem how that happens. We have to leave that up to Hashem. So too we find in the bracha Mevorach Hashonim, we don't ask for specifics how we should be wealthy or how the year should be successful. We just ask that the year should be successful and we will be able to derive that benefit as well. But now, what does this have to do with Shimon Bar Yochai and Lag Baomer? For that, if we look at the Gemara in Brachas Daf Lamed Hey, we will see that it's Reb Shimon Bar Yochai that is of the opinion that a person cannot be in the world, in the business, and worrying about his food and his sustenance, and also be successful in Torah. And he says you have to be able to remove yourself from your daily needs and focus on Torah and Avodah, and then Hashem will make it that your work is done. Nasa Yedei Acherim. Now, while the Gemara concludes that many people tried to do like Reb Shimon Bar Yochai and it did not work, and therefore it is not suggested that we do that, the Gemara does conclude that we learn from Reb Shimon Bar Yochai that we need to make our Torah and our Avodah and our mitzvahs the Iker. And we need to make our parnasa and what we do in the world of Olam Hazeh, that has to be the tofel. And with that, we will be able to be mekayim and be successful, with the focus being, of course, on what's really important. And that certainly matches the picture we have of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, who lived for years in a cave, and he only ate a little bit of fruit from water that was coming by a nearby stream. And that's what he survived on for years. And he was able to bring down a tremendous amount of Torah and light and Kabbalah that was never revealed before. And therefore, perhaps that is indeed the lesson of Lag Baomer. And it is indeed the lesson of the Mann. The Mann fell, and no matter how much you collected, you brought home an Omer. Whether you brought more or less, when you came home, you only had an Omer for every person. You had to collect it every day. You couldn't put it aside or in savings or how you're going to be able to get it to know what's going to happen tomorrow. It was a tremendous amount of bitochen and trust in Hashem. And therefore we find that indeed the Mann was the same lesson that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was saying, is that we have to be able to trust Hashem and know that everything comes from Hashem. And with that focus and with that bitochen, Hashem will make sure that our lives and our parnasa and our needs are taken care of. And therefore this year, as we sing around the fires and we celebrate the Yom Tov of Lag Baomer, and we recall the lessons of Shimon Bar Yochai, let us remember the lesson of the Mann as well and celebrate the miracles that Hashem did for us in the desert and continues to do for us every year and every day. The mitzvah Hashem will all be zoichet to see that it's indeed coming from Hashem, and that will allow us to focus on the Torah and the avodah and the mitzvahs that are most important. And with that, in mitzvah Hashem, we will indeed be able to bring down tremendous amount of Torah and Eretz into this world as we celebrate the miracle of the Mann and the miracle of Lag Baomer and the lessons of Shimon Bar Yochai.